Bum, bum, bum. Hey, true believers, are we live? Yes, I think we are. All right, how you doing tonight? Nobody, because nobody's here yet, but hopefully soon people will arrive. What are we reading on tonight? We are reading on Vladimir Putin. I haven't done a reading on Putin since, I believe, May was the last time, so it's been quite a while, and time to update on the Putinator, whatever. I haven't come up with a cool nickname for him, but do I really need to? I don't think so. So what do we want to know? I'm going to look at 2023 for Putin, his overall trajectory, and what we can expect with him and Russia and Ukraine and all that goodness. And I'm waking up. No, I'm not waking up, but whatever. I'm warming up. That's the ticket. So if you have any ideas about what you'd like to know about Putin or anything else, feel free to comment below, as always. And I keep not mentioning that I do live tarot readings, not live, but private tarot readings. I know there's that sign at the beginning of this when it says I'm streaming, but I feel like I need to every now and then mention. So let me mention right now while I'm waiting for anyone to arrive that yes, I do. Wait, that's not it. Yes, I do. There we go. Yes, I do readings on Super Peer. If you have a private or not so private, just general about your life or about anything that you'd like to know and have me do a reading on, just contact me. And prices starting at something like, well, the 15% off, I think I started at like $15 if you need to contact me. A bargain if ever there was. So contact me for as short or as long as you'd like, and I will help you as best I can. And with that out of the way, let me remove this. Unless you really want to look at it. No, that's not it. There we go. With that out of the way, I will start to look at Vladimir Putin for next year. I think I'm going to look at several things. I'm going to look at. I do this with anytime I do a biographical, a look at a person. I tend to look at their overall health for the time period described. I tend to look at. I'm going to look at basically how strong his power will be during the next year. I will look at the overall. I mean, I've looked at the Ukraine war several other times, but from a Putin perspective, I guess, in particular. And I will look at. Probably I'll look at the overall state of Russia under him, but basically I'm focusing on Putin. So, yeah. So to begin, let's just begin by seeing Putin's health overall for 2023. What are his health outcomes? Because if for some reason he has a health issue, then suddenly that changes a lot. Not that I'm saying he does, I'm just saying if. So let's see. His health, 2023. What am I seeing? Let me make sure. Am I alive? Yes, I am live. Okay. Looking first at his health for 2023. Very secretive fellow about his health, I know. So that's kind of what I want to look at first, just to see, if he'll be in power. That's going to certainly be the main factor for determining how long he's going to be in power in Russia in general. So I'm seeing for his health, 2023. Not much coming out. Feeling like I'm not relaxing. Let me relax a little. All right. Sometimes it takes me a little while you have to find your ground, and then all of a sudden things will work and start flowing. Actually, I had 2 really strong meditations today, so I think I'm very well connected in terms of psychic power at the moment. I've been seeing things. Like when I finish my meditations, I'll still have my eyes closed and I'll see things behind my eyes, which is not usually how I work, but sometimes when I do really deep meditations, it happens. So I'm looking first at Putin's health. Yes, it's taking me 5 minutes to get started. That's how it happens sometimes. What do we have? All right. So overall health for 2023, I'm seeing the Hierophant. Hierophant is all about orthodoxy, procedures, rituals, following the established order of things. So if this is his health, I think overall he'll be okay in 2023. I don't see any major hiccups. I think this is going to be a pretty solid year for him. I think he's a very regular person in terms of his health. So I don't see a major disruption to that in 2023. Now, let's see. What else can we look at? Let's look at his overall energy relating to the Ukraine war. Oh, wow. So I was doing that, and a card literally jumped out. So this is the card that came up. It's the 8 of discs or pentacles. And this is like the character who's just so habituated to his work cycle and process and how things are and how things should be that he's not going to break out of it anytime soon unless something happens. So in terms of the Ukraine war, I saw when I did a reading on that, looking at that for next year, the most recent time I looked at it was in my reading on Europe, and I believe it's called Europe and the UK for 2023. And I saw like around February to March, I'm seeing some ultimate change with the Ukraine war. Something's going to happen. And I don't think it's going to be initiated by Putin, because Putin is basically locked in, and he's basically determined to keep going with the process at this point. He can't afford to back down. He feels it would basically just disrupt him too much and alter how people look at him. And so I don't see a change in the Ukraine war from Putin in 2023. I think it's going to come from other circumstances. Let's go on and look at the overall effect on Russia's economy in 2023 under Putin. And if anyone has any questions about Putin you'd like to know or anything else, let me know in the comments. I'm looking at the economy under Putin for Russia. The average Russian person, what will the effect be under Putin in 2023? Will it be overall positive or will it be negative? Okay, so I'm seeing 2 cards came out. Interesting, 2 king cards, King of Pentacles, King of Swords. So let me make sure I can see this. Okay, so the King of Pentacles and King of Swords, both of these cards coming up under Putin, is actually not, it seems pretty overall positive, the economy of Russia for 2023 under Putin, because the King of Pentacles is a very stable card in terms of having plenty and abundance and being very stable. So the King of Swords is much more strategic in planning. And I think basically these are very powerful cards, and somewhat surprising to me that under Putin in 2023. But if the war does come to an end in 2023, which is what I'm seeing, or at least some major change in the energy around February, March, if that suddenly frees up a lot of the economy to rebuild the Russian economy, that could be what is going on here. Let's take a look at Putin's relationship with Europe and the U.S. Like Europe and the U.S. first, NATO and that whole block, because, and then I'll look at his relationship with China and maybe some other countries. But I just want to see the overall relationship energy between Putin and NATO and the U.S., Europe, NATO, and the U.S. in 2023. Will it improve, or after if war ends, will it still remain pretty bleak and bitter? Again, the King of Swords has come up, which coming up twice in a row is pretty interesting. So I think in terms of the economy, then, Putin is really going to be guiding the economy in 2023, and as this in Russia over Russia's economy in 2023, I'm seeing basically his role in connecting with other countries after a Ukraine war would be basically, if it's beneficial, he'll do it. He's like willing to. The King of Swords is so strategic and willing to put ego aside to do whatever needs to be done. He's just like a perfect chess player, and he'll do whatever is required. So if it makes sense to him to become more friendly and peace-loving with Europe and NATO and so on, he will, but only if it's to his advantage, and if he sees somehow it's going to benefit him and Russia in the long run. Thinking what else do we want to know about Putin for 2023? Yeah, let's look at his relationship with Russia. I mean, not with Russia, with China. Because it's been mixed. Like, sometimes it seems like China's very supportive, but other times it seems like China's kind of urging Putin to use a little more caution. So in 2023, how will the overall relationship be between Russia and China? Looking at the relationship between Russia and China in 2023. All right. So I see the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles indicates that, I think Putin basically feels kind of locked in his relationship with China, and that there's not going to be a major change. You know, they have a lot of history, they have a lot of economic ties, and I don't see a major alteration whether the Ukraine war continues or not. What I kind of want to look at, though, is the relationship between, Zelensky and the Ukraine, between that and Putin, if the war does come to an end. Like, will they be totally uncommunicative and hateful, or will there be some kind of diplomacy, and will they be able to communicate after the war? So let's look at that. Zelensky and Putin post Ukraine war. What can we expect in terms of their relationship, the energy between them? Because it could just be bitter and something that could flare up again at any time. Or it could be more of a peaceful relationship. Who knows? Looking at the Russia-Putin-Zelensky relationship dynamic post-Ukraine war. And I'm seeing Justice. Okay, so Justice is all about karma and reaping what you sow. And in terms of this, I think, no, I don't see much of a warm relationship between Putin and Zelensky post-Ukraine war. I think there's just so much bitterness, and basically it's going to just be pretty much a it could be like almost a Cold War situation between Zelensky and Putin at that point. But yeah, I think it's going to basically, relationship between Ukraine and Russia is going to be pretty cold until, there's a changeover in power between either Zelensky or Putin. And I'm not sure what else I can think of that I'm interested in knowing about Putin in 2023. if anyone doesn't have any final thoughts or questions, then I'll just wrap this up. I think, I mean, basically the overall things that I've seen from this reading and others is that I think the Ukraine war is going to have a huge alteration around February, March, and then post that, Ukraine and Russia are going to be very bitter and not interested in talking to each other, and Putin will try to build some connections with the rest of the world, Europe, U.S., as necessary, as he sees it necessary for whatever the circumstances. But he doesn't ultimately care. He's not like looking to be buddies with any other country. He's ultimately just saying what will allow him to have power and to maintain and continue his power. Between China and Russia, I'm seeing basically the same situation that has been status quo for a long time. I don't see any major alterations there. And in terms of Putin's health, I don't see any major alterations in 2023. So yeah, that's the overall thing. I basically, the only big difference I'm seeing for 2023 is that alteration in February, March. Let me take a look at that again before I wrap it up, because I haven't read on that in at least a month or two. I don't remember when I did that reading. So around February, March, can we still expect that alteration? And if anyone else has any final questions relating to Putin or anything else, either in the news or personal readings, I can do these real quick. Just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll call it a night, a morning, whatever you are, wherever you are. But let me focus on this real quick. So February, March, what kind of energy? Is that energy shift still there in the Ukraine? Okay, 2 cards came up. So I'm seeing the Sun and the 7 of Cups. Yeah, overall I'm seeing a more positive shift in February, March. And the Sun is always about a very, it's kind of like an awakening, and that's very positive. And then this card, the 7 of Cups, is really about opting to choose a more positive escape route, a more positive path to the future. And I think it's basically, it's going to be there, and it's going to be basically coming down to Zelensky and Putin, if they're willing to go ahead with it, and the people of Russia and Ukraine are ready to go ahead with it. But the opportunity will be there, and I think if they accept it, it will lead to a much better Europe and hopefully a lot of rebuilding and more peace. But if they don't accept it, if they're both too stubborn to move on, yeah. But this card is all about an opportunity that's there, but it still has to be taken. And I am still seeing it, though, available for February, March. So let's hope they take it. And yeah, I guess if no questions, I'll wrap it up and call it a night. But thank you for tuning in to this tarot reading. I'm going to try and do these as often as I can, as always, and hope to see you in future ones. And feel free to comment if you have any suggestions for readings that you'd like me to do. All right, good night.